Hi, it's Vicky from Computing for Kids North East. If you are a teacher and you're looking for some ideas for STEM Fortnight, ahead of the game, thinking and planning about it now and thinking about the kind of equipment that you might want to have in school, definitely would recommend the Crumble kits. Absolutely fantastic for Key Stage 2. Really recommend them for project-based work and getting children working quickly on coding and using their understanding of Scratch. If you want any more understanding of how to use these, do get in touch with me or visit www.c4kne.co.uk. Hi, in this session today we're going to look at how we use the crumble to light up one of these, which are fantastic, the sparkle batons. So as you can see, I've connected my crumble into the computer using the micro USB cable. I've taken my positive and negative down and I've just attached them to my battery here. So now what I'm going to do is use some more leads. If you look at your sparkle baton, you can see you've got the D output here. So always make sure that you connect it to this side. If you connect it to that side, it won't work because the electricity is going to travel through this way. So I'm going to take my positive, pop it onto there, and just when I get this other lead, place this onto the negative. And as you can see, we're going to use the D output here, so we're going to use that one. So I'm just going to use a different colour cable. I always try and make sure that when I'm doing this, I use the same colours, so the children get used to a positive and negative output. So now, here we are. I'm going to take these ends and we're going to place them onto our crumble board here. So I'm going to take my positive and put it on my positive, my negative onto my negative, and then this extra lead I'm going to put onto the D, so I'll just show you like that, like so. Now, you'll always find it a little bit fiddly with all the wires, but when you actually start building projects, you can hide all these wires in boxes and all sorts of things, but just make sure that it's actually working first before you get it in. So what we need to do, just make sure that we've got it all working. Quickly recap, you've got the battery pack here plugged into this side of your crumble, and then out of here, which is your output, you've got then your sparkle baton. So what we're going to make sure that we're going to do now is just make sure that it actually is working. So I'm just going to run a program which I'll show you just to see if we've got the spark running, and I'm going to press play. Yep, we have. There it's on. So we've got power to the sparkle baton. Now, there are two ways of showing the children how this works. I do kind of the simplified version first. It's a bit long-winded, but children understand actually what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then you can go into the more advanced coding of this later on. So this sparkle is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so what we've got to do is, using the Crumble software, we've got to then tell each sparkle to go on. You might put a weight between them, and then we can turn them off as well, so I'll show you how to do that now. We'll start programming the sparkle baton now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through how to do it kind of the long-winded way, but for younger children I would say this is a must, just to get them to understand actually what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then you can start talking to them about refining their knowledge and refining their code. So we're going to bring the program start button over. Here, as we would normally if we were just programming one sparkle, we would set our sparkle. Because our sparkle baton has got 8 lights, the first one is 0, we're going to need another 7 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now at the minute we are controlling just sparkle 0, so we're going to change this to 1, this to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, one more, bring it over. Now when you press play, your sparkles should all come on at the same time, and they should all be red because that's what you've programmed. So now what we want to do is we want to have a look at making these sparkles come on at different times. We're going to go across here and bring in the wait command. Talk to the children about where you think this wait would go, how we're going to separate each sparkle as an individual component rather than them all coming on at the same time. So I'm just going to bring this wait command in. Get the kids to play around with where they place it to see what happens. I think sometimes people tend to rush on too quickly, and if you actually spend time having a look, the kids get a really good understanding of what coding is and how when you place something in a different position it has a different impact. So let's have a look now at what happens when we do this. By pressing play, let's go back over here. You'll notice children straight away when they start to talk about the speed at which it comes on. So as you'll notice, the sparkle comes on, and the 1 second is actually quite a long time. So if I was extending children, I'd start to ask them to say, start looking at a second. How do we then convert this into a decimal where it's half a second? So I know what half a second looks like. There we are, 0.5. Get the children to change as many as they can. You might get children to even have a look at 0.2, see what difference that makes. Talk to them about the value of 0.2 and what that means. And then send that across to the sparkle button again and see what happens by pressing play. Let's go back over here. You'll notice children straight away when they start to talk about the speed at which it comes on. Now, children will think probably if they put a forever loop in that this will happen and the lights will go off again and then come back on. What we've got to start talking to the children about is coding. A sparkle button will only do what you tell it to. So if you want the sparkles to go off and then come back on, you're going to have to tell them to go off. So if we go over to our menu here, set sparkle, turn sparkle off. So we're going to place this in, we're going to turn the sparkle on, we're going to wait and then turn it off. Now that's fine because that's sparkle 0. We're going to bring another one over. We're going to see sparkle 1, wait, turn sparkle 1 off. We're going to take another one, turn sparkle 2, wait, turn sparkle 2 off. Turn sparkle 3 on, wait, turn sparkle 3 off. Turn sparkle 4 on, wait, turn sparkle 4 off. Now, as I said, this is a bit of a long-winded way of doing it, but it gives the kids a really good understanding of what they're actually doing, so that when you want to develop their code on and refine it, the children have a really good understanding of what they've actually done. So turn sparkle 5 off, turn sparkle 6 on, wait, turn sparkle 6 off. Now you've spotted here that I haven't put in a wait command. Get the children to press play and see what happens, but get them to do some problem solving as well. Don't give them all the answers. I'm just going to place that in 0.2 and get them to turn the sparkle off as well. Play. See what happens when we pass this across to our sparkle button. You'll notice that get them to look at your code as well. It's really interesting when you start to look at code and the children spot why that last light hasn't gone off, and it's simply just because we haven't told it to. We need to put in that sparkle 7. There we are. So I'm going to press play again. Get them to look at your code as well. It's really interesting when you start to look at code and the children spot why that last light hasn't gone off, and it's simply just because we haven't told it to. We need to put in that sparkle 7. There we are. So I'm going to press play again. And we should notice that it's on. Start building these into projects. Don't do it on its own. Think about how you want this to be used and when you would use it and why you might use it. So I'm going to press stop here. So we've got it in a forever loop. We've got them going on and off. The only other thing you might want the children to do is start having a look at changing the colours, as we've shown you before, to different colours. So for example, if they've got a lighting display. They might want to change it to all different colours, they might want a pattern. And the colours are never as vivid as they are on here, so just make children aware that you need to have a really good investigation and put orange on that one. So if I press play now, you'll spot the difference. Do get the children to have a good play around with the timing. So I'm going to change that to 0.05 now. 0.05. And then look at the difference this makes. Absolutely brilliant fun for kids to start looking at.